Hey everybody, we're here for the wrap up of our league with Loam Control. Didn't go as well as we hoped. That's okay. I think we learned a bunch. One is that when you mold a 4, it's hard to win games.
Very, very
but
hard.
um, in addition to that, I don't know, it would have been nicer if we would have had like a little bit more wider variety of decks that we would have been able to play against. In the playing against Death Shadows twice is a little annoying, but a lot of those games were pretty close. They could have gone either way. Um, it seemed that I think that the one of the problems with this deck that we noticed, and that's something that a lot of decks in this archetype have in Modern, is that it's a control deck by nature. You're reacting to what your opponent's doing, and you're really slow to actually win games. And in Modern, that's really, really hard. It's a tough life out there for a control deck in Modern. And the reason is because there's just so many insanely powerful proactive combo and aggro decks that they require very specific things to answer. And if we just don't have the right cards at the time, or if we don't have the right answers in our deck, or if our deck is just not set up well to beat those decks, then we're just toast, like what we saw against Scapeshift. We don't have
Yep.
really many points of interaction against Scapeshift, and even though his draws were like really, really bad, all he had to do was just eventually draw the Scapeshift because we couldn't put a clock on him, and he was able to kill us.
It's one of the
Um,
reasons why I think the dredge deck is better, and especially after doing this now, just because it is so much more aggressive. We have blood gas, things like that, where we can
right.
actually.
Yeah, Dredge doesn't mess around. It dumps like 15 power onto the board on turn 2 into 3 and just crushes people. It backs it up with basically Rolling Thunder for 2 mana for
Yeah.
like 6, whatever, in Conflagrate. And it's aggressive and proactive. And that's really the place that you want to be when you're brewing in Modern is you want something that does its own thing and does it effectively, efficiently, and consistently.
We were
Uh,
running three in here originally, three conflagrates. End up taking them out.
3 complications, sure. Yeah, that card is incredibly powerful. It's also excellent with Life from the Loam. It might be better than Molten Vortex. I'm not honestly sure. Being able to dredge over it and getting the ability is pretty great. Whereas with Molten Vortex, if you dredge over it, then you're going to have to jump through a few hoops in order to get it out
Yeah.
of your graveyard with, like, Mortuary, Mire, Loaming into Eternal Witness into
Yeah.
Molten Vortex. It's
And,
a
and
lot of mana investment.
and once again, at that point in time, you might as well cut everything else and actually play dredge.
For sure.
Play a
But,
good deck.
that's I feel like that's a bit misguided. Yes, that's of course that's one thing you could do. You could just scrap it. It didn't work. I'm done. I'm gonna go play a tier 1 deck now. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But as deck builders, we're trying to figure out where we went right and where we went wrong, and
Yeah.
so that the next time when we build decks, we'll have a better idea of what works and what doesn't work. And if you just play a tier 1 deck all the time, then you can learn how to tune decks for the metagame, but as far as brewing and building decks, learning how to do that, you're never really going to learn that skill just by playing a tier 1 deck every time. So there's
Yeah.
definitely merit in trying things out like this, and if they don't work out, that's okay, because it takes a lot of tries to be able, especially in a format like Modern. Modern is not a friendly Brewers format. Standard is actually a much friendlier Brewers format these days, I think. Has a lot to do with the number of decks in the format. For example, there's just green, black, and blue, white, and then a few decks that would be considered tier 2, like vehicles, Mardu, and Boros, stuff like that. But there's really only 5 or 6 really good decks in Standard right now, so we know what we have to beat. So it's really good for a Brewers format. Whereas with Modern, everything's super powerful, super consistent. So when you brew a deck, it needs to be the same way. And a lot of those decks have already been discovered. So it's rough out there, but I think that there are a lot of really good ideas in this deck. I think that Squee was a really powerful engine. It's basically +1 card every single turn for free. Loam also +3 cards every turn for 2 mana are really strong. The issue is that the ways that we're taking advantage of that card advantage were just so
The conversion
underpowered in relation to what is going on in Modern. You know, putting 2/2 tokens into play, or 1/1 lifelink tokens into play, or shocking. It's just not quite strong enough to handle all the really powerful Modern stuff. But yeah, I think it was a good effort, and I like a lot of the ideas that were going on in the deck. So
I appreciate that.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, hopefully next time we will have something stronger. But you know, I think it was a good try. And let's see, as far as what would need to happen to the format in order to make this deck work. I think it might be worth revisiting again if Dredge gets banned somehow. One of the things that we didn't actually really get to see all that much, but I think would be a huge issue with the deck is just all the rest in pieces. The Relic of Progenitus is in this format. There's just so much graveyard hate. It's not a friendly environment for a control graveyard deck. But that's okay if there aren't any graveyard decks in the format. Like this, I think that this deck could be a lot more effective. So yeah, if Dredge doesn't really exist anymore, and just like other slower things are happening in Modern, you have more time to react. Then I think that this deck could really be strong. Like if Grixis Delver and Jeskai Control took over the format or something, then I think that it would be a really good idea to revisit this deck and give it another shot.
That's when we first started it, when we first started really working with this, right when Jeskai Control, the Nahiri build first came out, and we were really rolling over it.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that the Jeskai Nahiri deck, you crushed that.
The Grixis Control deck too, it can't beat it. Like it rolls over it so much. Like Raven's Prime on the board just destroys them. Like,
For sure.
They cannot beat that.
Yeah, I imagine just rock decks in general would probably be pretty good matchups. John Dabzan, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, both those decks are really good for this deck too.
You just get so much card advantage from your squeeze and your loams and stuff. So, but yeah, I will say that I had a lot of fun playing this deck, especially that first round. That was a grind fest. I had a lot of fun. Yeah, it's definitely very refreshing because Modern can get pretty stale at times. So I've been playing so much Dredge lately. I don't want to blow my head off. But yeah, had a lot of fun. Thanks for coming, Tim. And we'll see you guys all next week.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.